wish you all a happy day today and healthy for sure despite the pandemic. So welcome to our meetup program with English Department, Faculty of Cultural Sciences, UNS Solo. We are always happy to be here to say hello again to you all in our meetup program with English Department, UNS Solo. So I am here, Fethi Kusumasuti, with my partner.
And with me, Taufik Al-Ma'mun, still in meetup program. This week still on the ICCoLLiC series, the International Conference on Communication, Language, Literature, and Culture. It was just held by the English Department of the Cultural Sciences, UNS in Solo last September 2020. So who will be the speaker that we will bring in our meetup this week, Ms. Fenty?
Right, so today we will have an interesting speech with Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Nur Sahizan Ali.
So he's coming from
University Kebangsaan Malaysia.
Okay, so from Malaysia. And what he will be talk about?
Right. So his paper is entitled One Media Texts Meet Realism Through Experimental Short Films. So this will be very interesting.
About very interesting, and yet, of course, like something that may be new for some of us about experimental movie. We might be really familiar about like a Hollywood narrative movie, but about experimental movie, it must be something. But what it is, so let's enjoy the talk from Associate Professor Muhammad Sahizan Ali from University Kebangsaan Malaysia.
Who is Professor Madya Dr. Muhammad Nur Sahizan Ali from Center of Research in Media and Communication, or mentioned, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. His expertise is in broadcasting, visual communication, and media literacy. His current teaching responsibilities is pengurusan dan penerbitan persembahan estetik, rencana siaran dan dokumentari, seminar ekonomi dan industri, and penulisan akademik. His current administrative responsibilities is pengetua College Ungku Omar. And then he has attended many conferences and trainings, and he also has many researches and publications. I will read some of them. The first research is pengurusan counter propaganda gerak saraf, laporan negatif isu kelapa sawit melalui YouTube untuk komuniti pekebun sawit dan pegawai MPOB atas talian. And then pembangunan modul local champions untuk pendaya upayaan belia B40 luar bandar ke arah transformasi nasional 2050. And then konteks literasi visual praktis UKM sebagai sebuah university penyelidikan. And then some of his publications are Corporate Social Responsibility Practice and its Effects on Community Well-being via Television Program in Southeast Sulawesi, Indonesia. And then Audience Interpretation of Climate Change Documentary and Konstruksi Identity dalam Talian daripada Perspektif Pengguna Facebook. Okay, I think that is all my introduction of Professor Madya Dr. Muhammad Nur Sahizan Ali. Now I will give the time to Professor Madya Dr. Muhammad Nur Sahizan Ali to present. Please, time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much to Universitas Sebelas Maret for inviting me as one of panel to give some sort like sharing sharing and can be mean by the fidelity. This fidelity mean the realism can construct some sort like idea that look like real, and this also gives some interpretation to individual. Realism also can be seen in the angle of verisimilitude. This also can give some sort like idea to the audience to think that what happened in the experimental film is actually reflected the real life. Realism also can be the truthfulness. The truthfulness means that the real factor, the truth factor from a real situation has been portrayed inside the experimental film. Realism also be the faithfulness. The faithfulness is some sort like emotional factor, but when it comes to the faithful, it will develop some emotional factor to the audience to interpret the picture. Realism also included the naturalism. The naturalism mean by the natural of the scenario or the reality have been portrayed inside the picture, and it will show something to the audience to be interpreted. Experimental short film actually included the realism issue, because the experimental term actually developed some sort of realism to portray to audience what the producer is trying to tell the audience what happened, and it's come from the reality. And this realism issue always been experimented by the producer through the short film to give some meanings to audience. What is the visual literacy? Sorry. Okay. What is visual literacy and experimental short film? And for this some sort like sharing knowledge, I choose the experimental short film that title Keep Going 2016, and this experimental short film has won some prestige experimental tournament. And what is experimental short film that I would like to discuss with you is, this is look like a physical factor. Experimental short film is only a physical factor that is come from the film. And the visual literacy is the mental factor, that the audience will use the mental to interpret the physical factor. So from the diagram, you can see that if the experimental short film, the physical factor is this square box, and then this all graphics, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this another 6 graphic will show that the what we call it the interpretation of audience, mean that audience will interpret the message some sort like some audience interpret the message not as the same as the producer want to tell the audience. This in communication we can call the words, the using word is the might be the misinterpretation or misconstruct, the meaning misconstruct. Okay. Porter on 2004, 2018, saying that for this is the not the Porter model, but it's come from the Porter theory, the literacy media, and I innovate this theory to blend with my case study, and this keep going. Contribute three factors actually. One is realism. Realism by the mean of this conceptual is daily life, our daily life, and it also influence. It also get the what they call it, the influence of ideology and foreign culture. Influence of ideology means our daily life might be influenced some ideology of the what they call it, the audience, that they will interpret the meaning of the message from this experimental film based on their ideology and also foreign culture. Mean that when the world become small, mean that world without boundaries, then every audience or everybody or every individual can be attached to the foreign culture, mean that they know another people cultures. From these cultures, might be they will interpret the message through that culture, and they can blend the culture to make some meaning from the experimental short film. And another thing is a string technological constraint. This technological constraint mean that within this millennia, or we call it the millennium, we always depend on the technological constraint. And this technological constraint always give some effect to the audience to make a second reference. I mean that they can refer another meaning from another source, might be by using the technological constraint. This is the indicator influence of a literacy visual construct. This construct actually, because of the experience, education, knowledge. This experience, education, and knowledge is actually because of the time change. Time change means that our audience, that today's audience, especially the young, or we call it the net generation, net, net. Net means that the internet generation, their time change, they born within 90s. They born within 90s, mean that they didn't have any mental configuration experience by themselves in the sense of before 90s. They only have experience before 90s when they some sort like might be they hear some story from their parents, then they get the idea, but they didn't feel the idea by themselves. Mean that they didn't have any experience of the realism because they are born on the 90s and above. And these 90s youngsters, they always have their own interpreting within some idea or message by whatever they think on that time. Mean that they always refer to the internet or the technology or the message from the Google. They can Google the message and they didn't get the real experience and knowledge. And this factor actually affect the way of the interpretation through the message. And this will give some effect to the message because of sometimes the message that the producers plan to tell the audience, but have been misinterpreted by the audience because of this factor. And from the communication model, they have what we call it the noise. Noise is the interference. Some interfere to the audience when they trying to interpret the message. Okay. The ends. Okay. The argument focus on the surrounding environmental context, the everyday reality perspective, and the overall view, with the abundance of cultural, technical constraint, and the influence of foreign culture, finding proof that the adolescent in daily life is naturally exposed to the media climate and being able to understand the sense of reality in experimental short film. This understanding is based on this factor, and this understanding is based on their understanding, not on producer understanding. Mean that this experimental film has enclaved by another two parts when it's come to the message interpretation. The first part is the change and the technology constraint. Mean that from the experimental film, when audience want to interpret the message, they will go to next level. That is time change and the technological constraint, and then from that they will construct the visual literacy. That's all.
Okay, that's the end of the talk from Associate Professor Muhammad Sahizan Ali, coming from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Talk about experimental short movie entitled "Keep Going," produced in 2006. What do you think? Have you ever really watched experimental short movie, Miss Faye, or a big fan of it?
Not really. Frankly speaking, this is something new for me. But it's really wonderful. Like I wasn't too interested in experimental films at first, but now I think I'd like to watch it sometimes and to see how different it is with the other short commercial films.
Right.
And I think it's very challenging when our speaker today
also talking about the youngsters, like how adolescents actually get to be invited in a focus group discussion, whether they can really understand the realism provided or performed in this such kind of movie.
Really
I think right. Lately in Indonesia, we also have like the trend of short movie after Tile, even though it's like a different kind of short movie, but it is also very contextual that like how realism or reality in the life can be criticized by using like a short movie. Aside from the idea of narrative movie on cinema, but also the other production of short experimental movie.
Great. It's always exciting to know something new.
I guess it's also provide our like a new awareness about this. Maybe it's like Miss Fenty, and it's like invited, like the curiosity, like to really know more what it is. So I hope it can also bring you new insight, Miraverse, about what short movie is, and then how we can learn or how reality, like being portrayed by such kind of movie.
That's true, because we also learn about foreign cultures when we talk about.
Exactly. Yeah. Must be it's not also something that can be with us, but maybe also like new things brought to our culture or the cultural exchange.
Okay, so Meetupers, this is the end of our Meetup program today. Thank you very much for your attention. So still we are in ICCoLLiC series, the first international conference on communication, language, literature, and culture, hosted by the English Department, Faculty of Cultural Sciences, Universitas Sebelas Maret.
So that's the end of our media program this week. I'm Taufik Al-Ma'mun and
I'm Fenty.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.